Actually, hiyo kudisoniwa bado iko.
And now you see, in real sense, for me, I feel like the problem is not this child that identify as such.
But what really is the problem? Why did they send them home? Because there's an outbreak of lesbianism?
Yes. Hi guys, and welcome to the Social Scene Podcast. I am your host Dicky Chilis and
Rachel Omoshe.
yes, and welcome to another scene 6 of Social Scene Podcast. Tunafurahia feedback yenu, tunafurahia views zenu, tunaendelea subscription pia, tuendelee tu vivyo hivyo. I hope you've had a fantastic week. Mimi yangu imekuwa poa. Except for Ababa mwenye alikuwa anajaribu my patience na my hairline, but nimeambiwa nakaa vizuri, so it's cool. And today, as per hapo chini mnaona, we have a new guest. A guest mwenye amekuja. She is a friend of the podcast na amesema anakuja kupiga story na sisi, be it from relationships, be it from controversial topics, you name it, but be ready. This is going to be a fantastic show. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And without further ado, let me introduce to you our producer first, Mr.
Oburu Odhiambo. You know, I was actually surprised why you didn't introduce me as a guest.
You're not a guest? Yes, you've been here before. Umekuwa hapa before.
I've only been here on the catch-up.
You've been here before. Okay. For those who don't know, for those who have not followed the regular scenes that we have, this is our producer, Mr. Oburu Odhiambo. And he's usually in the catch-up most of the time, so ingiweni wenye mmefuata the catch-up. So, this is our producer. And, drum rolls, we have Miss. Ni Miss ama ni Mrs.? Miss.
Too young to be a Mrs.
Too young to be a Mrs.
Too early.
Waambie watu wewe nani?
Alice Apio is my name.
What does Alice do? Who is Alice in a 1 minute 30 seconds sum?
Hey, that's a really hard question. Like, who's Alice?
Well, because it's a tough question.
I mean, she's an editor and a shawty who likes to have a good time. I can say free-minded to like whatever the world brings to my table, and like always open to learning new things in simple terms.
And that is why actually we were very excited to bring her here, because we need such freedom of mind so that we can speak on topics freely without kujifunga. And trust me, this is a safe space, so if you want to comment on anything we're talking about, hapo chini kuna comment section. Also kuna number, if you feel your comment haifai kukua hapo in public, unaweza tuma text hapo chini. Yeah. Anyway, ni watu mmesikia historia ya this high school imefungwa in Kajiado County. Iko na jina ngumu, Nun Kopir something. Umasaini. So the school was closed down because of lesbianism, a rise in cases of lesbianism in the school. So the thing is, lesbians in the school have formed gangs, and now they are bullying the others who don't identify and don't want to join the lesbian group. For me, hii issue ilikuwa kind of weird, because how I know people from the LGBTQ community is they tend to shy away, not bully people. Again, so there was a disconnect. Anyway, what do you guys think of that story?
Well, Shiletu, there is this time when one Form 3 class, like the whole class, was suspended.
For what?
Because of that issue.
Same thing.
Well, they didn't phrase it like that. They just said, like there's an outbreak of lesbianism.
An outbreak of lesbian. Okay.
Yeah.
Like it's a disease or something.
You guys had like such experiences.
For me, I would say, like I had said earlier, that we are so quick to blame these kids, while in the first place we actually led them to that. And it's not from a bad point of view that I don't agree to girls being separated from boys, but I think it's a main factor that, because what do you expect? I am with girls for 4 years. All the semester, day in, day out, I'm chilling out with shorties. I mean, there's something that's going to just away. Not everybody, because of course there are people who came out straight. But it's like a factor. Those two small, because we constantly say things that happen in life are like triggered by things. So if we focus and we tend to, like for example in that setting for girls, I don't blame them. I mean, probably they are experimenting, and then they are so quick to blame the students very fast than finding out what actually led to this in the first place.
Yeah, they just argue that you're in school, you're supposed to be studying, full stop.
But what about my sexuality?
Because I think that is when you discover yourself, your sexuality. It is during that period. So for parents and teachers to assume these people are just in a cocoon where their bodies are not growing, it's just they need to just grow their brains. Doesn't make sense.
But again, now let me try to look it from the approach of whatever happened in this school. Because then it means for them to suspend, let's call it a suspension, because they'll be going back.
They'll be going back on Monday.
It's a suspension. It means this behavior of a few people, a few individuals in the school who identify as lesbians was becoming, how do I say it? It seems there are people who are not comfortable with it, and now they are feeling as if they're being forced into something. So for me, first let me say the decision by the school to send everyone home, for me at that particular moment, I support it. Because I believe it will be very difficult for the school to handle this issue well with all these students still in school. But since they're coming back with their parents to school, whichever day it is, then now it's a good way. Because now, we can't, at this point, we can't blame the school. Because the school hasn't said that whatever these people are doing is wrong, or whatever these people are doing is bad. Whatever the school has done, they've seen, we think this is the best way to restore order. Let everyone go home. Then when they come back on Monday with the parents, probably now the school will find a better way to address this issue. But again, I want to compare this with back in my high school. There was only one case of a guy who was being suspected to be gay. And he wasn't handled in a good way. He was beaten and everything, like mobbed by students. Which was not good. But I feel the reason as to why these people that identify as members of the LGBTQ community today have that voice is because somehow, not bad, they came out loudly. If you look in the recent years, maybe 2 or 1, they've managed to come out loudly to freely speak about who they are, what they feel, and they demand to be respected the same way these other people who identify as straight people are also respected. Compared to before, saying that you are gay, you are lesbian, you are transgender, that was an issue. Like ilikuwa una sign death sentence yako, hata ungeza disoniwa na wazazi.
Actually, hiyo kudisoniwa bado
iko. And now you see, in real sense, for me, I feel like the problem is not this child. that identify as such.
But what really is the problem? Why did they send them home? Because there's an outbreak of lesbianism.
Yes.
So
And
what?
so when I read the report,
report,
they were saying on Monday, when they come back, the parents are supposed to decide whether they want their kid to stay in that school or to transfer.
because I love girls. Oh, okay.
Then another issue came up. A report was saying, I think it's police, I'm not sure. A report was saying that these students had raised concerns over going home for Easter holiday. So I was like, so lesbianism inakaa scapegoat in this situation. Inakaa scapegoat.
Yeah, because that would never be a reason to.
Yeah, now that you brought about the Easter holiday, it makes a lot of sense. But even if it was not for the Easter holiday, for me, I still feel that would be the right thing for the school to do. Because let's assume it's not Easter, it's the other end. Huh? As much as there's that group that truly identify as lesbians, but they're making these people who don't feel like that, it's more of a bullying. And bullying, it means is as if you're told to do something and you're not willing to do it. And
But I mean, bullying is in every school, though.
yeah, but no, you see, in this aspect,
If you think about it, I understand.
Yeah.
They're bullying them into forcing them to be lesbians,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But don't you think like it's been elevated more than it really is, because there's bullying
In every school.
in every school.
However, I think this one was
I don't know about sexual bullying, like that sort of thing.
there could be that sexual bullying. There could be that. That is a good point, because but at the same time, okay, maybe how I know human beings, sisi venye tuko sisi wote.
Yeah.
If you know in a community or in a certain place your existence is wrong,
Yeah.
it's sort of wrong in the eyes of people, you will
shun
tend
away.
to shy away.
That's
You
true.
don't become now the leader of the party,
Of the party, yeah.
because you can't be the leader
You
of the
can't be
party.
the lady of the leader.
Yeah.
So then inamaanisha these guys, the lesbians were more than the
That's crazy.
Alafu kuna kwanga na stereotypes, like you find that those that play games, maybe the girls that play games are the lesbians of the school, that sort of vibe, because maybe they have muscles or something, you know, they're strong, yeah, so there are like stereotypes attached to it as well.
Also, I was thinking, if these parents were to come back, from what point of view will they solve this issue? Will they be educated enough, or will they know what their children are going through enough
Because I don't
to
think
understand what lesbianism is, how it begins, or what it's all about?
They'll probably go home thinking, oh, my child is very bad.
Hey,
You see, let me tell you something.
I had to come to school because of this thing.
But 4 days won't change the students from being lesbians. They're still going to be lesbians either way when they come
but
back on Monday.
remember they're avoiding kuchoma
There's
shule.
this aspect of
Yeah.
there's this aspect of
Yeah, that's
like
now where-
experimentation, like at some particular ages, like say 16, you know, you're curious.
Very.
You know, I feel one of the reasons as to why it might even be difficult for these parents to change anything is because, to be honest, as a society, as a country, we're still finding it difficult to accept that there are people who identify as members of the LGBTQ community. Because it's an issue that, for me, it needs someone to be approached with someone who's open-minded. But we have this society made up of people who are, I don't know, uninformed, like they don't know more about these people, what they feel. Instead, them, they are talking from whatever they personally feel.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's very difficult for me today to judge Alice if I don't know what Alice feels. And that's why I think it's always say at some point you need to try put yourself in that other person's shoe. Because I tend to assume, let me today, if I was a gay or I was a transgender and I identify as part of that community, like, will I be ready to take the kind of criticism that these people are receiving? And if my answer is no, then in that case, I will think twice before being too harsh on these people. Rather, I'll try to take my time to understand these people more than I think I know.
Do you guys think being part of the LGBTQ community is a choice?
No.
Do you think it's a choice?
For me,
I don't think
No,
so.
like, do you think the people have actually chosen to be in that community?
Chosen.
Why would you say no?
Because I mean, it's like me waking up and I love men. It's not I choose to love men. I'm naturally attracted to them. So if you wake up and you actually are attracted, as long as it's genuine, because you know the other thing with that brings controversies with the LGBTQ, yeah, it's like we experiment and then it gets to a point. It's like, okay, I'm done with that. Then let me move on to.
Yeah.
You know,
Then they'll call it a face.
Exactly.
They'll
Then
call
now
it a
people will
face.
call it a face. But then I don't think you can just choose that, yo, I'm a man and I'm going to love my fellow man and that's how it's going to be.
It's not a
Doesn't
decision you
make
make in the
sense.
morning when you wake up.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question, like when you ask about is it a choice or not. Now, let me give it, there are this group of people who identify as part of the LGBTQ community that I still find it difficult to understand them, whether to accept that they're part of the LGBTQ community or they're part of these people identify as straight. I'm talking of this group of people. I'm sure in one way or another, we've come across these people.
Have you had like intentional interactions with such, like
With such people?
ile you want to know their lives?
No, that's where my question comes in. Because let me first say this kind of people I'm talking about. You know someone, you've known them throughout their life, and then probably into their 20s, let me say, I know people who, even when I first met them, is either they had boyfriends or they had girlfriends.
Okay.
Then one thing happens, probably the relationship comes to an end. Then the next time I meet this individual, he identifies as gay or she identifies as a lesbian.
Okay.
Then I ask myself this question: do you want to tell me it's possible for me to live these 20 years of my life? Because whatever one of them told me is because it was a she in this case. She felt like she loves
Women. It's even hard to come from your mouth.
Yeah, she loves women. Then I was asking myself deep down, you've stayed for your 20 years throughout your life. And you know, I tried to dig even the background. Yeah, because I said I don't like judging people quickly. So even in their high school life, they used to be in relationships. And she's been able to have like 3 ex-boyfriends.
Yeah.
Okay. Who exist till today. Then after all this,
Who exists
till today, you had to emphasize.
yeah, they exist. After all this, now you come in as a lesbian or as a gay, and for some reason, it is this group of people that you struggle to where they really lie, do make a lot of noise about the LGBTQ community. For the people who really identify as members of this group way before, as much as they might be there trying to fight, like not really, I don't want to say fight, because when you really fight for what you deserve, then it means that society is rotten in a way. But that's whatever is happening, because you find people who are genuinely part of the LGBTQ community are fighting for them to be protected. Then that one means that our community is now, our society is the problem. Fucked up in a way. So my question was, is it okay? Because we have to accept there are people who also get into lesbianism or gayism just because the relationships with this other gender
has failed.
They've been trying it and they're failing. And now they go. It happens.
Men are trash.
Yeah.
But
even women.
Catch that.
Women are
but like to like add to your point where you notice someone has had a girlfriend for a long period of time and then funny thing is, if you check closely, these people have always had these tendencies since. Like if you just take a look, it's because us as human beings, we often let things slide and you don't take keen notice of.
We don't focus on
because I always think somehow, especially the men who now are who tend to be gay
from straight relationships.
You scratch this, the ones who receive you know, over time there's a way you always notice from the beginning. They always have these tendencies, we just overlook them sometimes. And that's the thing where you notice someone had a girlfriend over time. And also in that perspective, how about if they're still not able to identify what themselves want until finally they do?
What kind of tendencies do you mean though?
Like, I mean, they're a girly sometimes.
Okay, but
I don't know. There's just that. No?
Yeah, but like
I feel like
goes back to that point of, you know, men are not allowed to be feminine or you know, but women can, you know,
be
masculine. But when it comes to men, it's like you have to be one thing and one thing only. Look like a man.
But then again, you've said something about they're taking dick. Yeah. But there are those who give.
They all have that. I don't know. All that I know. Okay. Make sure you scratch that. I don't
giving to a man.
No.
For men who are in straight relationships and then you find they have turned, because now you see there is LGB for bisexuals.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe they could fall in that category, but at the same time they may be doing a disservice to the people who are actually genuinely fighting for protection, because then kuna kwa na narrative ya ni influence, you can get in and get out of it, it's a phase, it's a this, it's a that. For people who are genuinely, let me not say genuine, because that maybe ni genuine, but in a letter hiyo aspect ya phase, it's a phase. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a phase. We mentioned something about
just like
masculine.
all the lesbians in high school.
you had lesbians in high school.
So many of them, most of them are married now with kids. And that's the crazy.
They're like, it's a phase. Yeah, maybe it was.
Where?
Side
was
eye.
it?
Bombastic side eye.
So how do you view like women who, because mostly this happens when women are lesbians, but some of them are not. I tend to think so. There are women who are very masculine in their dressing, in their talking, in their mannerisms, in how they treat people, even in how they treat the people around them. And then there are men who are, I was told it's effeminate, not feminine, it's effeminate.
Okay.
Men who are effeminate, such that they tend to behave girly. Now for men, it's not acceptable, so to say. As in, you'll be looked at in a very distraught way. But for a woman, people just continue their business. Right?
That's true.
Why do you think it's like that?
Well, I think even the masculine women it's different for them because now people treat them like
My
a
brother.
man.
My brother.
But I think essentially you're a woman.
That's true.
But I think then it's the men who will accept the masculine woman, like to be friends with the masculine woman, right? And then the females will tend to be friends with the effeminate man. But it is difficult to find an effeminate man friends with masculine men.
Shawty.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's my thought on that.
And we're not even talking about the extreme, wigs and stuff. We're talking about just the
we're not
energy.
just
energy. Just the energy, just
drag queens
just,
for life.
Exactly.
Serving and stuff.
As in watu wenye they're feminine even in their walking, in their talking, in their they may not even be wearing makeup, but they're just
they're just men.
This may be an illiterate statement because I haven't been in that space, but I may think between men and women it's much more easier for women in the LGBT than the men.
Yeah.
It's much more because as you can that masculine shawty can wake up one day and just turn back into a woman and it's gonna be fine. In fact you'll even outlook the fact that she's dressing masculine. But a man can't show up in a skirt every day and you guys will be like, hey, that's normal. It's so much. It's so hard. But I don't know.
That's very abnormal. You see, that's what I'm saying. The different approach.
Exactly. I don't know. It's from an illiterate point. I don't know if women go through worse, but in my point of view, I think it's a bit, if not way easier, it's a bit easier for women in LGBT than men.
Now, no, just to add on whatever she's saying, why that's happening. This might sound bad, but anyway, I know all of us and even our audience out here, at one point we've found ourselves to these different pornography sites.
Okay.
Do you realize more men do enjoy watching lesbianism shows than even a man and a woman?
The fact that you called it lesbianism shows.
Right?
Okay, like I didn't know
That's how he writes in the search button. Lesbianism shows.
No, you see, now that tells you how much comfortable people are with the women identifying as
lesbians.
as compared to men identifying as gays.
Do you guys
and
have fetishes to watch gay
they're
porn?
very outspoken about it,
NDA.
Wait,
You're gonna cut up this point.
Do you have fetishes for watching gay? Because he said now men who like watching lesbian porn.
Yeah.
So none of you. Yes, this is a yes.
This is a yes.
This is a yes.
Like, I can neither confirm nor deny allegations.
But you can agree that
For sure.
that happens.
Speaking for others, yeah. I mean, you technically enjoy porn videos of same sex. I don't know. There's some.
Oh.
Do you enjoy lesbian?
It depends with my mood. I mean, don't you watch porn according to your mood? Today you want to watch.
I don't want to say the kind of.
I was about to.
Because-
Side eye, bombastic. Side
Mom, if
eye.
you're watching, please. I'm a good child.
Hata mi hapo siko.
Hata ya huko.
Even what I said about this, it's something that I read somewhere.
Oh, you
I
read.
read somewhere.
You didn't even.
As you say.
Like, I read somewhere.
What to see
It was an
wajinga
article.
You can't fool us.
But anyway, we've all been there at some point. So
But do you
it's
think
normal.
now, like raising, how people were raised, does it now determine how a child comes out in terms of sexuality and gender identity. You had mentioned transgender.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that how a person is raised, because kuna mtu atasema because a boy was raised by a single mother, that's why they turned out gay, right? Or somebody will say because somebody was raised without a father figure, they turned out lesbian, right?
That's the same as telling me Jeffrey Dahmer turned out to be a murderer because he didn't have present parents. I don't even think background or whatever, because at the end of the day, you build yourself. But I think factors over time also constantly build too.
Yeah.
Because maybe tuseme, you wouldn't know. For example, if you're a child and you're like, when I see this boy, there's a way I feel, and you're a boy, you'll be like, shun away those two feelings. But then again, in the evening, you go watch cartoon and see a boy and a boy kissing, and you'll be like, that's right. So that means
With
it's
these such cartoons right now.
very many. So many things promoting. I mean, it's a free world. Everything,
But do you think that's right?
Now that's where parenting comes in, because you're supposed to censor your child until the point where but at the same time you can't censor this kid.
Cartoon uliangalia tu hivi uko like you know parents wako like ni cartoon,
Don't see.
let them but then when you really watch it you're like,
Because I was watching a show the other day and they were saying the LGBTQ is coming too much.
Very true.
Wanakuja sana.
Kwanza Netflix.
Because they're but you see, we are filmmakers.
Yeah.
Right? I'm thinking a GE show does not have any restrictions, does not have any sexual suggestions, even kissing, I'm guessing. So I'm thinking for the child to see two boys kissing in a cartoon, that's not a GE kind of, that's not a general viewing kind of film, right?
Yeah.
So it is the responsibility of the parent to make sure your child is not watching a PG without your guidance. Because it's, do you think it's the role of us filmmakers to parent people's kids, right?
No, but
what about the subtle stuff? Say they may not kiss, but there is, just some energy.
Okay, see, mi nilikuwa age ya Ben 10. Ben 10 kulikuwa na hizi vitu. I don't remember.
So many contents out there though. But ata sahi, however much we try as parents to censor, there's still some way that this information is gonna get to the kids. So I think over time, as you grow as a person, because that's where now we say, for example, you'll be like, my childhood was fucked up, but it's upon me to like bring myself up in the right way. So the choice at the end of the day ends with you. Because if you say you're gay, man, you're gay. Don't come tell us it was because of sijui your parents, your whatever. You are gay. I mean, that's your choice.
Why are you gay?
Yeah.
Gay.
So because that reminds me of the Jeffrey Dahmer story. If you check the documentary, it's like he grew up in a really fucked up family setting. But over time, as a grown-up person, I think now you need that emotional intelligence and maturity to like say, yo, I this is where this fucked up, but now I gotta bring myself here. But now if you let it take over, or if you make that choice, don't say I made it because this and this. I don't know. You understand?
Do you guys think parenting is an issue?
Parenting?
No, like, is it a contributing factor?
I don't think so,
because we are about to be parents.
One second.
In fact, one for that matter.
A few years from now.
Fucked up parents. Our generation is crazy.
Let me take you back to this point that you mentioned, that now where my problem with the LGBTQ community comes in. As much as we're still trying as a society, as a community, to understand and accept these people and live with each other without discrimination, the problem comes in, it's now being forced into us.
Yeah.
And now when you force something to people, when you feel like there's some force being applied to you, then obviously you'll be tempted to
Try.
try and
push back.
to push back. And now you see this is what's causing the commotion, cause there are people, I don't want to say like there are people behind this community that are now trying to bring this issue to be the new normal.
Okay.
Are you trying to see what I'm saying? Because you see, when you're saying, during our time we were watching Ben 10, Ben 10 was that good cartoon, you will watch it. And even if you leave alone Ben 10, a few films that we were watching a few years back, the only sex scenes we could see were mostly between a man and a woman.
Okay.
But she mentioned Netflix. For some reason, every Netflix show that comes out today,
That's so true.
there must be an aspect of LGBTQ inside. And you know, these people, I really know where numbers are. Netflix is the biggest streaming like platform
One of the
currently
biggest,
in the world. So many people get to watch shows on Netflix. And the more people see, if I see it in a movie today, I see it in a movie tomorrow, I see it in a movie the next time, then in my mind it now comes in like
You
someone
can
who hasn't
picture
yet bado sijijui vizuri even as a child. Now you're like, okay, so this thing is normal because
This
I've
is
been
normal,
seeing it.
yeah.
And now that I think now, like us when you are growing, at times it's not even more about parenting, because our parents were trying as much as they can to have us grow without trying to make us
Protecting
believe
us
sex
from-
doesn't exist.
Okay.
You see, that's what they made us try to believe. But at times you find yourself in places where you get to see a man and a woman having sex. Then now we grew knowing like, oh, so sex is normal. And we could see even small kids still in their preschool, really not knowing what they really do. But because they saw it somewhere, a man, a woman and a man having sex, now they believe if the girl is lying down and me, the boy, I'm on top of her, we are having sex. And now you see that's how sex was normalized.
Wait, I have a
Missionary.
question.
Yeah.
How did you feel when you were younger? Let's say 12, 13, 14, 12, 13, 11, Apple. How did you guys think sex was being done? Because me, I had a wild imagination.
To be honest,
Wait.
the first time I saw sex, actually didn't know more about sex. I knew sex the way I'm describing it. A woman and a man
A man is on top.
on top. Like anything that goes on there, I didn't have that clear picture.
Oh.
Until later on I came to understand it's not just about a man going on top of a woman.
There is something.
Like there's
connecting
something
them.
that has to
Connect. Something has to go in
something has to go
and come out.
and come out. Now you see, it was until that later age. Now you see, the same way we got to have sex being normalized for us is the same way today's kids are having this issue of the same-sex relationship being normalized to them, because it's not something that they see once, but they get to see. Even you see, when you're talking about cartoons, most of our parents are not as informed as we are today.
Okay.
And so a parent, because the child is back from school and the parent is probably busy making supper, or the parent is at work and the child ameachwa na mboch. A mboch, probably she won't even care whatever she or he is watching, whether it's good for this child or not. So probably they're watching a show that has some of these scenes in them.
But whose fault is that? That's the big question.
That's the big
Whose
question.
fault is that? Because we are saying the parent is busy,
Yeah,
right? And they may not be informed that these things are there,
yeah.
right? So that means they don't have information. The filmmaker has made a film that we know as filmmakers, we rate things ourselves
Yeah.
even before we give it to the boards za kurate.
Yeah.
We say it has sex, it has nudity, if it has those as substance abuse. So then whose fault is it? Because sisi kama filmmakers tumefanya kazi yetu.
Okay, like for me, I feel like the problem is the system, because I feel the system then is able to regulate what actually goes that our viewers then consume, and probably set how do I call them, like restrictions of anything. Like you just don't have many shows that are trying to, like every show that comes out, then we have to have a place where we have gays or lesbians. That way we make this thing look too normal, which for me I feel somehow then how do I say it, like facilitate or make people then know that, okay, even the kids, that it's normal, like it happens. Because you see nowadays our parents don't stay with kids forever. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I feel. Like for me, I don't blame parenting. Somehow I blame the system, but there's an aspect of parenting that comes in.
Who is the system?
Who is the system?
Because you have to define the system. Who, when we say the system, what group of people are we talking about? Because then it could be maybe the government is lagging on prohibitions.
Yeah.
Maybe it's these boards za filamu.
Yeah.
Maybe ni wao wana lag. Which I don't think ya Kenya ina lag.
Ya Kenya
Kenya wanakuanga bumper to bumper. Hata guns kwa show.
But unajua hai make sense given that kama zimebaniwa na bado tutakuwa exposed to content yenye ziko. So no, that's the thing. If we were to say system is fucked up, then that means we're blaming the whole world. Because remember, there's no way Kenya can say now we're not subscribing to Netflix
Uganda
in Kenya, but Uganda can.
We arrest you.
That's true. But now, like, I mean, what can we do? Because either way, these things are happening. These things are there. Even if we don't expose them through materials, see, they're happening in schools.
Yeah.
They're happening. Your child might be exposed in one way or another. Like, I don't think you can really.
And actually, there's this MP who is presenting a bill.
Peter Kaluma.
That guy.
Yeah.
He's the most annoying human being in the world.
Kaluma
Because
Ngani?
Peter Kaluma is an MP.
Don't follow politics?
You don't follow politics.
Okay, at least even if it's not politics, Kaluma has been on the limelight every time talking against the LGBTQ thing.
There was even a time he was like, if you're wearing dreadlocks, you can't be professional.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Yeah.
He came up
And
with
it
such
became a
arguments.
worldwide issue.
Yeah.
If people from even the US were posting
talking
pictures of
about it.
themselves with locks and their doctors and their lawyers and their just to
Thank
make
you.
him feel bruh.
Is it the same one that said, I don't know, there's this particular one that was talking about if you're part of the LGBTQ, it doesn't matter what what the law says. We all know what nature has, and he will deal with those people personally.
Cacophoniously. So
We will get rid of them by force.
cacophoniously. You've never heard of that?
It was like,
You've never heard of
That's going to be
cacophoniously?
my new word. Cacophonious.
You've never heard of that?
What does it even mean?
Cacophoniously.
Very Russian. It looks like
It's something at home we say if you're dealing with like a rude kid. I will deal with you cacophoniously. Like every kid at home, my cousins, everyone at home knows the word cacophoniously. It's a thing we say. I forgot I'm not at home, but
cacophonious.
so as I was saying, this Peter Kaluma guy, he was saying that as part of his banning of LGBTQ in Kenya, he was saying that children should not be taught sex education in schools. Do you guys think that is a right move? Like, because we are going to be parents who are going to be involved in these issues more. Even worse than parents who are parents right now.
Yeah.
For us it's going to be worse because now it's going to be phones at 10.
Yeah.
Like mtoto akona simu at 10,
Yeah.
at 10 years old, right? You guys think there should be that comprehensive sex education in school? Ama whose responsibility is that to make sure that your child, when they turn 18 and now they can make their own sexual decisions, they can make them right?